that oil and tire marks are all absorbed in that sealer, and it'll take it up brand new. You can see, I took it right down to bare concrete, and it was as clean as can be. You can see the tire tracks on the left-hand side that it carried through that came right up. Now, in contrast to that, if you go to one, you'll see if you look at your picture and you look at this pad, there's really no difference. I came through and I used the Hotzi, our heated power washer, and I used this light-duty concrete cleaner, and it did brighten it up. It did. It brightened it up just a little bit, but it didn't take off the actual stains from the tire marks and things like that. Now these cleaners. I experimented with a lot of things. There's different grades of cleaners. The ones that we have here are very environmentally responsible, especially the oil and, the oil and grease stain remover. The reason why is because the oil and grease stain remover, like I said, dries. We can sweep it up and we can get rid of it. It's a really easy cleanup, and it's not seeping into our groundwater. There is some other options. Let me read you the warning label. Fatal if inhaled. Causes severe skin burns and eye damage, may damage fertility or the unborn child, may cause respiratory irritation. So there's heavy duty cleaners. Also, they're not morally responsible to use, and they don't work a whole hell of a lot better, to be honest. What I found is when I just try to clean it and Hotzi it, it looks a little bit better. Doesn't look great. When I came over to this area and corn blasted it when it was sealed properly, because this pad has been sealed properly, everything came up and I was able to seal it again. Unfortunately, it took me about an hour to corn blast this. So we're looking into bigger corn blasters. This is the blaster I'm using now. It doesn't run off a normal compressor. We have to run a huge trailer compressor that's $150 a day to sustain 80 pounds of pressure constant throughout. So you need another secondary big piece of machinery to do that. And we're exploring a bunch of other options, dustless blasters, larger corn blasters, to be able to provide that service for you. Through all my kind of tests here, and I've been going over everything, not only on your pads for the last 3 months, but really testing all the different products. What I found, what I think is the best solution is, here represented in at number 3. Now you can see at the top, see that oil stain where I kind of blasted half of it off? Can you guys all see that on 3? There was a terrible oil stain right here. So what I did was I tried a bunch of different cleaners on it. I tried to absorb it with the oil and grease absorber, it didn't work. I tried some of the nasty stuff, that didn't work because it absorbed kind of into the sealer. And so what I did is I came and I blasted just this section right here. It came up with the sealer and then I resealed it. Now I'm 100% confident that that will blend back into the pad. And I think that's the solution for you guys. So to wrap it all back up, if you have existing stains on your pad, we can clean them to a certain degree. We can get them to lighten up, we can get them a lot better than they are so they're not eyesores.
What do you mean that's going to blend in with the rest of it?
So this is,
Is it just wet or
that's the sealer.
You have to seal the rest of it.
So we see, this is the old sealer. This whole pad looked like that last year, or even a few months, 6 months ago before winter. So when they did this pad last year, it all looked bright and shiny like this. And so I'm 100, and you can keep coming back, but I guarantee within 2 or 3 weeks of just running over it and using it, it'll blend from the UV and everything like that. I believe that sealer will blend back in.
Is this sealer, the dark color is the new sealer?
The dark color is the new sealer. That's correct. Yep. So where was I? Okay. So what I would suggest is signing up like we did with the irrigation for a consultation. We'll come over and take a look at your pad. I'll take a look at your stains. We'll see how good we can clean them. But if we're going to take anything out of this seminar, what I've learned is you have to seal your pads. If you don't seal your pads, the stain could be down for 5 minutes or 6 months, it's not going to matter. We are not going to be able to get it up 100%. And I represented again that over there. I actually dumped oil on that pad to see that. That oil was only down about 5 minutes on that porous pad. And if you guys want to take a look at that, then on half of that, I used the stuff that draws it up, let it sit overnight, and you can still see on the bottom of that stain, you can still see a residual oil mark. Where the oil marks were when they sealed, I was able to take it right up. So we do want to provide some people with some sealing, and there's a lot of ins and outs of that too. To give you an example, stuff that was recommended for me, guess how much this is, Dan? Yeah, how much? $250. Now, when you call a contractor and he says $1,000 to come seal your pad, right? On this bottle it says apply until it will not soak in anymore. Okay? So do you think if you hire a contractor to come out and seal your pad and he said it was going to be $1,000, if he uses $250 worth and it's not sealed properly, it's still absorbing, he's going to go back and buy another bottle? And then if it doesn't seal properly, he's going to go back and buy another bottle? No, he's definitely not. So what we want to provide to you guys is to seal it properly. So I'll come over and do a consultation. We'll do an initial seal to see how it's absorbing, and I can show you. This is not the dilutable kind. The concentrate of that size is $380 a bottle. Let's see here. This is a ShamWow effect here, you guys. Sorry. But you can see I sealed this properly. And you can see it beat up on there. If it's not doing that after we seal your pad and it's not beating up that good, then we would call you and say, hey, we don't think it's properly sealed. And we would recommend another coat. Now I understand the cost can be prohibitive, but it's just a question of whether you want it done right or not.
When we get into the winter time, so now we're doing a lot of scraping and throwing, some people throw salt down.
Sure.
What effect does that have on the sealer?
It will have an effect on the sealer, I'm not gonna lie, and you could get scratches and things in the sealer.
So
From what I've found, when we come back, if you do it correctly the first time, and let's say you just want to put a coat on every year, one coat or a coat every 2 years, when you go back over it, it goes on so much easier, doesn't absorb a lot, it blends a lot of those scratches, and any pitting from oil, we'll make sure, or any pitting from salt, we're always going to potsy it off and power wash it off to make sure there's no residual salt stuck on there. But I really want to start to get these pads sealed. It seems to be the only real option, and I was hoping for a Wonder Cleaner too. We spent, I don't even know how much on every different cleaner, every different home remedy, every different thing. We've tried everything. And what I've come to, again, we have to seal our pads. That's it. So,
Would you recommend just where the vehicles park and rolling in and out? There's some garden areas, we have colored concrete walkways, the vehicles don't use cold or
I don't think that we would seal the colored concrete. The only problem is sometimes people sneak things like turkey fryers in, or citronella candles, or we're finding all sorts of stains that might carry over into that area. So my suggestion on that is sure, the common stains are the oils, but why not protect yourself on all the areas? That's what I would recommend. Do you guys have any other questions? Because
Are you offering the service of sealing people's slabs? And if so, how much?
Okay, so we're working through that right now. We are going to do a number of them this year. We want to use the best product we can and do it right. So we are going to do a number of them this year. We're not going to be able to do a menu price. We're going to start off, we're going to give you a price for the cleaning and one coat. And then if you need a second coat, because again, the recommendation is put it on until it stops absorbing it, then we'll contact you and see if you want to go further with it. But the answer is yes, we would like to offer that service.
So,
I do.
looking at that $380 job, okay, how much do you think that would take to do one coat?
You know, I was a little bit surprised about the consistency of that. It's like water, and so these rollers are actual specialty rollers for this type of solvent, it would be called. So you use a special like epoxy roller on it. I've looked into options using our sprayers. These sprayers actually make attachments for those rollers, so you can have a roller with a sprayer right down on top of it and tap it, and it'll really spread it nice and thin and evenly. I did get some dripping over here. I also screwed around with a low pressure sprayer, which I didn't think, you know what it is, the actual pump sprayers. Yeah, so there's an actual pump sprayer over there. From what I can see with all the high-tech gadgets we have, the best thing that works is this low pump, this sprayer right here, and a back roller. And so I believe that if you have a 23 by 43, what size is your pad, Dan?
I don't know, it's probably 100.
60 by 20.
60 by 30.
About 20. Club side.
Mine's pretty big.
I think with
About
1
1,200
gallon
square
we could get the first coat on there, and I think it would only cost to apply the sealer about an hour or two of labor. But the catch is how long does it take for us to clean it? Now that's why I want to do individual consultations to give you an idea how much it's going to take to clean it. And then to make things more complicated, we're going to have to take a picture of the pad if you're not here, send it to you and say, is this up to your standards where you want to seal this in? Make sure you're happy with what we're sealing in, because once it gets sealed in,
So what I'm hearing, my takeaway is two coats is probably, might take 2 coats, and 2 coats is probably gonna take 2 hours.
I would, you know, on the second coat, I would think a coat, first coat would be a bottle. The second coat, we might be able to get away with a half a bottle.
Okay.
And that's how well it kind of spreads after you've sealed it properly. It really, you could spread it nice and thin, and I bet if you kept on top of it every year, the cost would stay the same with 1 coat. You just need 1 coat, and that would be it. The beauty of it is what would happen is if you do decide to seal your pad properly, when you do have oil stains, I'll come in really quick with the blaster. We'll hit those stains super fast. They'll come right up. We'll power wash it off, let it dry a little bit, put the coat on. It'll all blend in these patches too, and your pad will look just like it was when we sealed it the first time. And that's the goal here. Is there any other questions?
Who are these guys that are doing these sealing? You guys are around sealing people, what they use this stuff for submission. I see roller, you know?
Sure. I can't speak to what everybody's using, but I highly doubt if they're doing it for $1,000 or $1,200 that they're using the highest quality product, but I can't answer that. I'm not sure. I know Steven does a lot, the guy that details our coaches. I've talked to him at length about it. I know Martine, as far as a cleaner, he uses the same type of cleaner we do. This is a pretty wide range of cleaners that Prosoco offers. So, but as far as the sealers, I don't know, but they are definitely not all created equal. I can tell you that. Is there any other questions?
I just was going to add a comment is that everybody who has an RV should know that this is kind of just that it's just part of being an RVer. If you don't know it, everybody's got a blow hose underneath their engine in the back of their RV that blows out any residual oil. So just about every RV leaks oil. So there's really no way to get around it. So it's kind of just part of the lifestyle that you're in. So just understand that, you know, that those oil stains are going to come because everybody's got, who has an RV, diesel RV's got a blow hose that gets rid of the residual oil that comes out the engine.
So Susie, would you put all the travel trailers and fifth wheels on my site? Give Dan Gish the motorhomes.
So what I would like to see, because I'd like to offer all these services, is that we start cleaning and sealing these pads. Now we talked to a guy today who has a dustless blaster, and this is a big trailer machine that they come in blast with glass, which is actually EPA. They do it in California in the bridges. It can go in the rivers and everything, and water together. And I talked to him today. He can do a pad. What took me the same time to do this, he could do a whole pad in about an hour. And so in the future, I'd like to offer all these services. Now, he said he would come down and do a few pads for us to show us how this DBL 5000 trailer works. But this machine is expensive. It's $50,000. Okay? So we know now that the concept works. We know that if it's sealed properly, we can get up the stains. Now it's just time to explore our options and what services we can provide you. And if we could keep this place clean, I think our property values would just stay the same, keep going up. If we allow the park to keep getting stains and we don't get people to seal their pads, it's only going to get worse. So we're really working hard to explore anything that we can do to bring the services to you guys to make sure this place stays beautiful, your assets are protected. And man, we've learned a lot about concrete in the last 3 or 4 months. So, is there anything else, you guys?
What about that magnesium chloride stuff? Does that eat away when it drops onto your pad?
And so a lot of these have magnesium. You're talking about magnesium chloride, like cleaners.
No, the stuff they put on the road to you know.
Oh, the snow removal stuff.
Yeah.
Bring it in, park them, and they melt on your pads, and does that take up your finish?
I mean, I would have to guess that it would. But what I would say from what I've seen with sealing and then sealing over again, if we clean the pads properly when we reseal them, any of those little marks or chips or anything, it's like a polyurethane. It all kind of melts in together. So you can do multiple coats and it all kind of just blends. It's really, at least with the good stuff I've been experimenting with, it works great. So I don't think any salt or magnesium chloride or anything like that, we can't clean off and reseal and make it look beautiful again. Now, if you look at this first page, wouldn't it be nice if you did decide to go sell, or you just wanted it perfect, and over the years we've been spraying off the oil stains of sealing and spraying off the oil stains of sealing, and you wanted to look brand new again, we could strip it right down to that and reseal it, and you will have a brand new looking pad. And that, for your property value, I think is very valuable. Quick, yeah, go ahead.
So where the water beats up in the winter, it's cold. You get some precipitation or some melting. Is that going to make it more slippery?
And that's definitely a possibility. But if you see and I could spray it on here, I don't need to. But what you can see is if you sprayed this, where I just sealed it, it'll beat up really heavy. But the stuff, even though it was protecting from the oil stain, a year old or however old this is, I think it's about a year, it didn't beat up quite as much, and it did kind of absorb, but what it did is it absorbed the oil too, and it held it. Now, I would guess that some of these oil stains, if you go to these pads and when people are replacing their pads, we could pick up that 4-inch piece of concrete and look at the bottom, and that stain would be on the bottom. It'll go all the way through and go all the way down to the bottom of your pad. So there's no blasting or sanding or wire brush or chemical or anything that's going to take that out. So again, preventative measures is the best route.